Okay, so I have another guest on now, and we've been chatting for the last few minutes, so we'll just jump right in here. So, uh, this is someone that I wanted to have on here because he fixed it so quickly. I think we only did the one hypnosis session, right?
Yes, correct.
And a couple other sessions of uh, some training and instruction on how to keep it all permanent and how the mind works and all that. But we only did the one hypnosis session, and you're also a bishop of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I thought it'd be awesome to have you on. So tell me a little bit about your pornography struggle, maybe when you were first exposed, when it started to be more of a problem for you, and what that struggle was like, if you wouldn't mind.
Mhm. Yeah, no problem. I will say that this has not been an issue in my younger days at all. I come from a very traditional family, so those values were very strong as far as staying away from that kind of material. My issue probably actually started after coming back from my mission when I moved um, to the Utah area. I guess having access in a easier way to this material was probably what triggered this. But most of the issues started probably when I was around my 20 years old, and has been the main point after my mission. So being away from my family and all that stuff, I think that triggered feelings about being lonely, and pornography became a way to keep myself entertained, for saying that way, and stop handle those feelings that I'm having at that moment.
Yeah, yeah. So how many years would you say you struggled with this need to view pornography?
For 20 years easily.
Yeah, okay. So what had you tried to fix it?
Well, I will be completely honest. I'm not the kind of person that liked regular therapy sessions process. I think part of my, because of the education level I have, talking to people about this kind of stuff seems like a waste of time for me. So I never actually engaged into a therapy sessions and trying to get that kind of stuff. I thought that was capable to do it my own. So I didn't try to do anything else on that besides, trying to um, uh, 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 I talked to my leaders in those period of time, and follow their advice, which helped in certain level. I was able to control these needs for probably a couple of weeks, and then the issue reoccur. So I try, the typical traditional things, reading descriptions, praying about it. My wife knew about this when I married to her. After that, we talked about this, and she was very supportive about this, trying to help me out. But I was able to be good for a little bit, but then after that, things reappear and rehappen. So I try different things in the sense of trying to keep myself busy, trying to be away from the computer, for saying that way, or putting my computer in a public place, or not using my phone in a frequent way, things like that, that usually we suggest as bishops to other youth, other people, but still didn't help in a way that I feel comfortable saying that, and or have a stop about it. So that's probably the simple way to say it.
Right. And how often were you viewing pornography?
I would say once a week,
Uh-huh.
and then probably say less. That was well, at least the way it was for me is that I would probably feel the urges will come back. I will do it maybe once a week, and then probably after 3 weeks, I start feeling guilty, and say, you know what, it's not for me, and then I will stop probably for a month, and then again all these feelings comes back, and then give up, and then happens again maybe, and then I start watching maybe 2 or 3 times in that period of time, and then I will stop again, and that was the cycle.
Yeah. So after spending 20 years struggling with this and trying to fix it on your own through prayer and scriptures and not fixing it, given the fact that you weren't fixing this after all that work and struggle with it, what was going on in your head about the nature of this problem if you couldn't fix it that way on your own?
Mhm. Well, I think I started realizing that my understanding about all these things is that we have a spiritual strength, and we always trust the Lord about be able to solve any kind of issues. But I started realizing there was something else that I was not aware, or I was not understanding about this process that was triggering my recurrence on these things. So when I started realizing that there is something in there I need to understand and be able to remove from me, that will be what I was looking for. And the reason was thinking about that way is because my wife have a good understanding about the emotion code. And when she was doing her sessions on me for other reasons, she sensed there was something in there that was not right, that I was having a very strong guilty feeling on me. And obviously, at the beginning, I didn't say what was going on with me. But when I started realizing that she started sensing things on me, and it's when I told her, hey, this is what's going on. So then is when she starts saying, hey, you have something deep on you that you need to fix. And that's why I just leave it like that until I met the services that you do. And I say, oh, looks like that's what probably I was looking for.
Yeah. So when you first heard about doing hypnosis to fix this, what did you think about that? Did you have reservations about it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because you see all those TV shows and all those programs. I don't want any kind of wacko type of thing. Like, I don't want to fall asleep. I don't want to be, saying silly things when I was asleep. So at the beginning, it was just the typical stereotype that we get about hypnosis. But after I met with you, and also my wife came with me. We met with you, and you explained how actually hypnosis works. Then say, oh, that's exactly what. It's not the same thing as we understood was the process. So that helped a lot. But yeah, at the beginning, actually, I started this process because as a bishop, I was looking for options for my own people, for my own members of the world. So that's the reason I interviewed you, trying to see, well, what exactly this method works, thinking about helping others rather than help me at the beginning. But when we discuss all these things, I say, oh, this is what I need. That's what I'm looking for a long time.
Sure. Okay. So when you actually did come in, and we did the first session with you and your wife, just kind of teaching you how the subconscious mind works and prepping you for the actual hypnosis. And then in the second session, we did the hypnosis. So a lot of people think it is mind control. It's scary. It's some brainwashing thing. Like I can force them to do something, or they're going to be out of control, or they're going to be unconscious. What was the experience for you? Because I try and tell people it's none of that, but what was the experience for you to be down in trance and figuring it out? What was that like for you?
Well, actually, it was something very different to what my expectations were. For me, was at the beginning, obviously, the terms that you use, like my logic mind was very say, no, this is not working. What are you doing here? And trying to understand what we were doing in a logic way. But when I started following the instructions that you were given in the process, then I could see myself in a different way. And those questions that you were asking, because we always conscious, we are actually aware of what's going on, but the way you were asking the questions and getting to that trance helped me to actually see myself and looking like I was looking at myself and answering those questions from an internal perspective. And questions that usually I was afraid to ask myself in the past, but being in that stage or in that state actually helped me to be free to recognize what the issues were and be able to answer those questions, even though some of those questions were very strong feeling approaches, because even make me cry, which I don't usually do, when I realized that those were the answers I was looking for based on the things we were discussing through that trance.
Yeah. So what were the issues and what were the answers specific to your situation, so other people can see, oh yeah, maybe that's mine too?
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, like, you ask questions about when was the first time, or when I remember was the first time, and then when you ask that question, I could see myself in front of the computer in my apartment as a student at BYU, and I could see myself sitting in there and then turning around and looking to myself, like looking eye to eye to myself in that image, and then I asked the question, and then I saw myself answering, and the answer was that I have a very strong feeling about feeling not wanted and not feeling being loved. And when I felt that answer, I knew exactly that everything I was doing is because I have that gap or that need that pornography was actually triggering or trying to fulfill in their own way. So when I knew exactly what I was looking for, because always I was thinking like, oh, it's because my wife is not giving me enough attention or things like that. I always blame something else. But when I knew that I was looking for that attention or that understanding, actually I was loved, that actually I was needed, that actually I was wanted, and understand I was happy, then is when things start changing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And the irony is it makes sense to you, and somebody else is listening. They might be like, oh, that's obvious, but you figure it out on that deep level when you're internal, and it shifts everything.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So when
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. That's the thing, is that sometimes we can see the patterns in our own life, but when we're in a trance, is when you really, that those are the actual reasons why everything is happening, and you feeling in a strong way, knowing that fix that and you will be free. And that's when it's a different feeling, it's a different sensation, it's a different understanding of the issue, even though you may have an idea what's going on in your own life. But seeing at least in my case, see myself telling me that is your problem and that's what you need to fix, then things just work out even better.
Right. How, this is kind of a different question than I've asked people in these little interviews, but how would you say this compares to the repentance process and what you experience in prayer or in deep meditation, if you had to make a comparison, kind of a...
Well, that's a good question, because the thing is that I was honest to the Lord about what's happening in my life. I always ask for forgiveness, and even though that's one of the things. Sometimes you start trying to justify what you're doing, in the sense, and say, I'm very strong, and I'm doing my reading my scriptures. I'm coming to church. I'm a good leader. I love my people. I love my family. My wife knows about it, and I'm not doing all these things. And sometimes you start getting dumb, or numb, and better than numb, in the sense of, well, I'm doing all these good things. That should be enough. This is something that's beyond myself, and I'm trying too hard, and should not be feeling that bad. So the repentance process helped in the sense of trying to do the right thing. But internally, I was thinking, like, justifying myself. Well, I'm doing too many good things. That should be enough, and the Lord will forgive me about this. And then just trying to go to that path. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so now it's been 4 or 5 months since you came in. Tell me totally honestly, do you feel like it's been a fight for you? Do you feel like you've had intense urges and motivations to go back to pornography where it was a real struggle for you? Or what has it been like since that session?
Well, I will say the first week or two after the session, my mind was like, really, this thing is working? How I know this thing is actually is working? Like, it's too soon for knowing these things. So I was questioning myself, and my wife was able to see me like I was like in very not concerned, but I was like always thinking about things. Like I was in a questioning mode. And then I was asking her, hey, do you see a difference? Do you see me something different? No, I see you the same, and things like that. But after a month of the process, I start actually feeling in peace. I was not constantly thinking if I was doing the right thing or not anymore. I just knew that the things was working. The urges still exist. It's not like, oh, out of the blue, you are cured. But the difference is that you may see or hear or get exposed into something that's not appropriate, but there is no, at least in my case, is not a need to go and pursue it. I can probably, if I'm, for example, in Instagram or TikTok or something like that, watching a video, something comes with a woman with too little clothes on her, I don't feel the urge to go and look for more. I just keep going and swap away from that and keep with whatever I was doing without no need to go around. And also the process has been, even my relationship with my wife has improved in a way that I know always feeling that she's not giving me enough attention. I know I can understand better her, and not looking for having intimacy in a way that in the past trying to do, like, oh, she's not putting attention to me, she probably don't love me or doesn't want me, or things like that. Now I don't feel that insecurity about our intimacy in that sense. And as well, I will say that um, I feel more in peace. I can be at home and feel that actually I'm home, rather than my mind trying to see what else I want to look for or trying to do something to distract me. Now I can be at home and feel like, I'm good, and I don't have to be too busy as a way to feel like and avoiding to be exposed to situations where I will get into the porn. So that has been this couple of months. That's the reason I know that, because the change on me and myself on how I'm doing things is just I feel more in peace and I can be normal in the sense of spend time with my family or be alone and actually use my time in something else rather than looking for things that are not appropriate.
Yeah. So at this point, when a temptation gets thrown at you or you get exposed, you don't feel like you have to get up and go for a walk or go do some push-ups or sing some hymns, right?
Nope, yep,
You don't feel
nothing
like
that.
you have to avoid social media because it's scary. It's got all the bad stuff on it, right?
Yeah,
And so all those maybe distraction tools or avoiding the exposure, you don't have to worry about that, correct?
correct.
Yeah. Okay. And that's how we find this is different than a lot of the other programs that teach you a lot of just avoid it. Turn off the social media. Make sure that you're doing something productive, because when you're all alone, that's really dangerous. It's like, well, what if we could fix that so you could just be alone and comfortable and relaxed with yourself, with your thoughts, even with temptation, and not feel like it's dangerous and scary, right?
Correct. Yeah, and also I would like to add that one of the suggestions that well, actually not suggestions, but something you asked us to do is the affirmations. I'm not, as I was mentioning, I'm not that kind of touchy-feely person. So affirmations for me, some kind of what? I don't know. This is like it's out of me. I don't even do yoga because I don't feel like I don't need to have a spiritual experience doing exercise or anything like that. So when I'm doing the affirmations, that also has helped me to be in a way to be aware there's a constant battle in the sense of I have to be very careful, because doesn't mean I don't have the urges, doesn't mean they will come back later on. So I have to be in a defensive mode in that way, using my affirmation. So usually every morning when after dropping off the kids, I just do my affirmations. I repeat myself that I'm wanted, I'm loved, and happy, and I'm free to have feelings, and repeat to myself that I do what is right, I do what is best, I do what is needed, and things like that help me to understand, hey, you are actually winning this battle. You have the tools to do it. Just keep that. Just remember that it's a day to day. And it's one of the things. I have the skills, I have the talent, I have the will, I have the desire, I have the commitment to fight and win this daily battle against pornography. That's one of my affirmations I use. And that helped me to be on my toes, but free to do whatever I need to do. But I still have a constant reminder that, hey, just be careful, because you cannot have this thinking that, oh, you are too good, that you are now fine. No, it's not. I'm not perfect, and I still have to be aware of what's going on. I don't know. Yeah, that's
Okay, so just a last question or two. What advice would you give to somebody who's hesitating to come in for some hypnotherapy to fix a porn problem?
Oh, I would say just call and meet you. Just listen to the explanation, and will make sense. Sometimes will take you a little bit to understand the whole process, because we're not used to that. But I would say yes, 100%. Try it. My wife also did it for different reasons, and actually I was talking to her this morning. Say, hey, it's working for you? Yeah. Everything that I have to address is gone, and I'm open and free. And I would say yes, give it a try. At least if after talking to you doesn't feel like it's something for you, at least you will have a better understanding about what exactly hypnotherapy is about, and you will see that there's no something magic. It's actually something that makes sense if you put attention to the details that you provide.
Yeah, awesome. Are there any last thoughts that you think would be helpful for people to know about, or that you'd like to share before we hop off?
Well, I would say that it's never too late to give a try to this kind of the method, for example. It's too painful to be under this burden for too long. Obviously, my perspective as a bishop, now I see the difference. Now being on the other side of the table, for saying that way, sometimes we drag things for too long. And when these kind of options are available, we should take it. The spiritual things is something that we must do no matter what. It's not. We still have to, but we still have to do this training in our testimonies and the spiritual level that we have. But there are certain things that we don't know how to handle, and these kind of therapies or techniques giving us extra tools to be able to complement what we are doing from the spiritual level of what we are believing in our life. So I would say yes, give it a try, do it. You will not regret it. I'm completely happy as far as the changes. I feel now as a bishop in this case that when I'm talking to people, I can actually feel like I'm doing the right thing without having the guilt in my back of my mind, or actually not the guilt, the shame in my mind that how I'm giving advice on things when I'm still lacking in this other area. Now I can actually talk to people, and I know that I'm honest and be able to do the right thing for them as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on.